Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever thought that having a stroke is just a matter of bad luck, like it's something that happens randomly and you're either lucky or you're not? Well, I'm here today to share a medical truth that might surprise you. Top global medical research has now confirmed that over 80% of all strokes are completely preventable. Let that sink in for a second. 80%. That means that ticking time bomb we all worry about. The power to diffuse it, that power is largely sitting right there in your own hands. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through 12 completely free, zero-cost strategies to prevent a stroke. Plus, I'm going to give you two secret weapons that the medical community considers absolute game changers. Stick with me until the end, and you'll have a practical roadmap to build a strong wall of protection around your health for years to come. Let me start by breaking down these 12 foundational strategies for stroke prevention, and we're going to start with the most important one. Strategy number one is stabilize your blood pressure. Now, why does blood pressure get the number one spot? Think about it this way. Blood pressure is simply the force of your blood pushing against the walls of your arteries as it flows through your body. When that pressure stays high for too long, day in and day out, it's like leaving a garden hose running at full blast, nonstop. Eventually, that constant, powerful force starts to damage the walls of the hose. In your body, that damage happens inside your arteries, especially in spots that might already be a little fragile from age. And when those vessel walls get weak, they can rupture. High blood pressure is quite simply the number one culprit, the primary villain that makes your blood vessels vulnerable to bursting. The American Heart Association has made this absolutely clear. Hypertension is the single biggest risk factor for stroke that we can actually control. And here's where I see so many folks getting into trouble. There are two really common misunderstandings about high blood pressure, especially among older adults. The first misconception is, well, I don't feel anything wrong, so I don't need to worry about it. This is completely backward and honestly dangerous. High blood pressure is often called the silent killer for a reason. It can be quietly damaging your blood vessels, causing harm day after day. And you might feel perfectly fine the entire time. You might not feel dizzy or get a headache until significant damage has already been done. That's why having a simple blood pressure cuff at home and checking it regularly is one of the most important things you can do. The second misconception is even more dangerous. It's when people think, okay, my blood pressure came down with the medication, so now I can stop taking it. I cannot stress enough how risky this is. Unstable blood pressure that bounces up and down, is actually more harmful to your arteries than consistently high pressure. Think of it like this. It's a ticking time bomb buried inside your body, and you just never know when it's going to go off. You take your pill today, and your pressure drops down nicely. Then tomorrow you decide to skip it because you feel fine, and your pressure shoots right back up. That constant yo-yoing, that whiplash effect on your blood vessels is incredibly damaging. In my years of practice, I have seen far too many tragic cases of stroke that happened exactly because someone decided on their own to stop their blood pressure medication. So please, if you take one thing away from this, remember this: once you've been diagnosed with high blood pressure, you need to work with your doctor and take your medication exactly as prescribed, consistently and long term. This medication isn't just treating a number on a screen, it's protecting your life. Its entire purpose is to keep your blood pressure stable in a safe range so your blood vessels aren't getting damaged day after day. Please never decide to be your own doctor. Always talk to your provider before making changes. All right, strategy number two for preventing stroke is manage your emotions. Have you ever noticed that when you get really upset or angry, your face gets red and your heart starts pounding? That's because intense emotions cause an immediate spike in your blood pressure. I had a neighbor once, Mr. Lin, who was a retired professional, and he had a bit of a temper after retirement. He'd spend hours watching the news every day, and whenever he saw something he disagreed with, he'd be shouting at the television, pounding the table. His blood pressure was all over the place. His kids tried to talk to him about it, but he'd say, "I'm just staying informed. This is important." Well, one day, he got into a minor argument with a neighbor over something trivial. He got really worked up, his emotions spiked, and suddenly everything went dark and he collapsed. He was lucky they got him to the hospital in time, but he did end up with some lasting effects. And here's what I want you to remember: no issue. No argument, no news story is worth your health. All of you have worked so hard your whole lives. Now, in your later years, it's time to learn to give yourself a break. Let the small stuff go. Your children will live their own lives. And that's okay. You can care about what's happening in the world, but don't let it consume you. Keeping a positive, balanced emotional state doesn't mean being naive or not caring about anything. It means cultivating a mindset of resilience and perspective. When something frustrating happens, train yourself to pivot to something that brings you joy. Try not to compare yourself to others. Instead, look at all the good things you already have. Find hobbies that calm you, whether it's gardening, fishing, joining a dance class, or just sitting and chatting with old friends. These aren't just nice ways to pass the time. They're genuine strategies to stabilize your emotions and keep your blood pressure in check. Strategy number 3 is quit smoking and limit alcohol. I know this sounds like something you've heard 1,000 times, but it's so important that I have to say it again. So many people, especially men, feel that sharing a drink or a cigarette is just part of socializing, part of friendship. And when you're younger, maybe your body can handle it better. But as we get older, our blood vessels just cannot take that kind of punishment anymore. Here's what happens with smoking. The moment you inhale, nicotine and other harmful chemicals enter your bloodstream within seconds. They make your heart race and pound, and they cause your blood vessels to suddenly constrict to squeeze tight. That immediately drives your blood pressure up. It's like you're actively torturing your own arteries over and over. With every single cigarette, and alcohol works in a similar way, it speeds up your heart rate and pushes your blood pressure higher. And if you drink heavily over many years, it accelerates the process of atherosclerosis, making your artery walls hard, stiff, and brittle, like a dried out twig that snaps if you bend it. So for the sake of your own health and for the people who love you, if you smoke, you have to quit. And when it comes to alcohol, if you can avoid it entirely, that's great. If you have a celebration or a family gathering and you really feel you want to participate, then please stick to the word limited and absolutely avoid hard liquor, the high proof stuff. If you can cut out the cigarettes and really cut back on the alcohol, your blood vessels will thank you in ways you can't even imagine. Strategy number 4 is choose your food wisely. Now, I know food is one of life's great pleasures, and I'm not here to take that away from you, but as we reach middle age and beyond, we do have to be a little more thoughtful about what we're putting on our plates. In the past, for many families, having plenty of meat and rich food was a symbol of prosperity, of having made it. But now we understand that for good health, we actually need to flip that idea around. We need to eat lighter, simpler, and more plant forward. So here's a simple 3 lows principle to guide you: low in saturated fat, low in sodium, and low in added sugar. Let's break that down. Low in saturated fat means things like organ meats, liver, kidneys, intestines, and fatty cuts of red meat and deep fried foods. These things might taste good, but they're packed with the kind of saturated fat and cholesterol that can literally clog up your arteries over time. Instead, try swapping those out for things like fish, chicken breast, lean cuts of meat, and plant-based proteins like beans and tofu. These are high-quality proteins that give your body what it needs without damaging your blood vessels. Next, low sodium. Eating too much salt is a direct and powerful driver of high blood pressure. I know many of us grew up with food that was well seasoned, a little on the salty side, but here's something important to watch out for. It's not just the white salt you shake on your food. There's so much hidden sodium in things like soy sauce, oyster sauce, bottled dressings, canned soups, and even things like chicken bouillon or seasoning packets when you're cooking at home. Try experimenting with other flavors. Use lots of garlic, ginger, scallions, vinegar, and spices to make your food delicious. Give your taste buds time to adjust to less salt, and they will. The World Health Organization recommends that adults keep their daily sodium intake to less than 5 grams of salt total. That's about what fits in a standard beer bottle cap, for reference. And finally, low added sugar, things that are very sweet like pastries, cookies, sodas, and sweetened beverages. When you eat a lot of these, you're not just risking diabetes. Your body converts that excess sugar into fats that put extra burden on your arteries. So overall, the goal is to fill your plate with plenty of vegetables, fruits, and whole grains like oats and brown rice. These are packed with vitamins and fiber, and they act like natural cleaners for your bloodstream. Strategy number 5 is avoid exhaustion. And honestly, this one isn't just for older folks. It's for anyone in their 40s and 50s too, the ones who are often juggling a million things. Life today is so demanding. So many of us feel like we're spinning nonstop, like one of those tops that just never slows down. At work, there's always pressure. Then you come home and there's homework to help with. parents to check in on errands to run. And honestly, a lot of retired folks aren't any less busy. They're helping raise grandkids. Cooking meals, running households, sometimes they're more exhausted than when they were working. Here's what happens. Whether it's physical tiredness from doing too much or mental stress from constantly worrying, both put your body into a state of high alert, what we call a stress response. Your heart beats faster, your blood pressure climbs, and over time, this creates the perfect conditions for a stroke, and I want you to know we are seeing more and more younger people having strokes, and a huge number of them are the ones who have been pushing themselves too hard for too long, burning the candle at both ends, surviving on too little sleep. So please, I'm begging you, remember this, your job is important, your family needs you. But none of it matters if you crash. If you push yourself until you collapse, then everything falls apart anyway. You have to learn to give yourself permission to rest. Build downtime into your schedule, protect your sleep. When you're tired, stop, don't just power through. There will always be more money to make, more tasks to check off, but you only get one life. Strategy number 6 is prevent constipation. Now, I know this one might sound a little strange or maybe even a little embarrassing to talk about, but a lot of people overlook this, and for older adults, constipation can actually be a life or death issue. Here's the truth. A significant number of strokes actually happen in the bathroom. Why? Because when you're constipated and you have hard, dry stool, you have to strain, you hold your breath, and you bear down hard. That act of straining causes the pressure inside your abdomen to skyrocket, and right along with it, your blood pressure and the pressure inside your skull also spike immediately. For an older person whose blood vessels might already be a little fragile from years of wear and tear, that sudden massive pressure surge can be just enough to burst a vessel in the brain and cause a stroke. So as we get older, we absolutely cannot afford to have constipation problems. How do we prevent it? It's actually pretty simple. And it goes right back to what we talked about with food. You need to eat plenty of fiber. I'm talking about things like celery, leafy greens, broccoli, sweet potatoes, oats, apples, and bananas. All those high fiber foods act like a little scrub brush for your intestines, helping everything move through smoothly so you don't have to strain. Strategy number 7 is change how you use the bathroom. Specifically, sitting is safer than squatting. I know that for many people, especially those who grew up with different bathroom setups, squatting feels natural. It might even feel like it helps you go more easily, and you're right. The squatting position does help with elimination, but for an older adult, it comes with a hidden and serious risk. When you squat down, the blood vessels in your legs and abdomen get bent and compressed. The blood doesn't flow as easily, and if you then have to strain, the blood pressure surges we just talked about become even more dangerous. For anyone with high blood pressure or stiff arteries from plaque buildup, this combination can be incredibly risky. So here's my practical advice. If you can, switch to a sitting toilet at home. I know some people feel like they can't empty their bowels as well sitting down. If that's you, I have a simple trick. Put a small step stool or a little footrest on the floor in front of the toilet. Rest your feet on it. This elevates your knees slightly and tilts your body into a position that mimics a squat, which helps with the mechanics of going, but without the dangerous blood pressure spikes of a full, deep squat. It's a much safer way to get the best of both worlds. Strategy number 8 is prevent falls. As we get older, one of the things we fear most is falling. A younger person might take a spill, brush themselves off, and be fine. But for an older adult, a fall can have devastating consequences. And I'm not just talking about the obvious risk of breaking a hip. Preventing falls is directly connected to preventing stroke. Here's why. Many older adults have some degree of cerebral atherosclerosis, which is a fancy way of saying the arteries in the brain have become stiffer and more fragile from plaque. When you fall, even if your head doesn't hit anything, the sudden jolt and jarring motion of the fall can be enough to tear one of those fragile blood vessels inside your skull, causing bleeding in the brain, a hemorrhagic stroke. So we need to be so careful in our daily lives to minimize fall risk. That means keeping floors dry and clear of clutter. It means putting non-slip mats in the shower or bathtub. It means having a little nightlight in the hallway or bathroom so you can see if you get up in the middle of the night. When you walk, wear shoes that fit well and have good grip. Don't be in a hurry. These tiny little habits, these small details, they are all investments in your safety. Strategy number 9 is use your left hand more to exercise your right brain. Why would I suggest that? Because our brains are cross-wired. The left side of your body is controlled by the right hemisphere of your brain, and the right side of your body is controlled by your left hemisphere. And here's an interesting observation from medical research. Some types of bleeding in the brain, hemorrhages, seem to happen a little more frequently in the right hemisphere. So if that side might be somewhat more vulnerable, how can we protect it and keep it healthy? One great way is to consciously use your left hand more often for everyday tasks. This isn't something you need a gym for. You can do it anytime, next time you brush your teeth. Try holding the toothbrush in your left hand. When you open a door, use your left hand. When you're just sitting around, you can roll a couple of walnuts or a pair of massage balls in your left hand, or just tap the fingers of your left hand on the table like you're playing the piano. These little movements are like sending your right brain to the gym. They stimulate blood flow and neural activity in that hemisphere, which is fantastic for overall brain health and may help protect against problems down the line. Strategy number 10 is drink plain water. When it comes to preventing stroke, drinking enough water might be the single simplest and cheapest life-saving habit there is. A lot of older adults especially tend to drink less water. Maybe they're worried about having to get up at night to use the bathroom, or maybe they just don't feel thirsty. But here's what happens when you don't drink enough. Your body gets dehydrated and your blood becomes thicker, more viscous, more like a thick stew instead of a thin, free-flowing broth. And when your blood is thick and sticky, it flows more slowly and it's much easier for clots to form. Those clots can then travel up and block an artery in the brain, causing an ischemic stroke. So you have to make a habit of drinking water regularly. Don't wait until you feel thirsty because by then you're already a bit dehydrated. Aim for about 1.5 to 2 liters of fluid a day. That's roughly 3 to 4 standard water bottles. And here's a pro tip, don't chug it all at once. Sip it throughout the day. Two especially important times are first thing in the morning when you wake up and right before you go to bed at night. A small glass of warm water at those times can be incredibly helpful for keeping your blood volume up and reducing stroke risk. Strategy number 11 is protect yourself from the cold. Have you ever noticed that wintertime seems to bring more news about heart attacks and strokes? There's a reason for that. When the weather turns cold, our blood vessels react by constricting, by getting narrower. It's a basic physiological response to preserve heat, but that narrowing, that constriction, also pushes your blood pressure up, and that increase in pressure adds extra stress to your entire cardiovascular system, making a stroke more likely. So what should we do? Should we just stay indoors all winter and never go out? Of course not. That's not healthy either. The key is to be smart about it on days when the weather is decent, especially in the mid-afternoon when the sun is out and it's a little warmer around 3 o'clock or so. Get outside and get some gentle exercise. Go for a walk, do some stretching or Tai Chi in the park. This helps your body and your blood vessels gradually adapt to the changing temperatures. It builds up your resilience to cold. But when you do go out in the cold, please bundle up properly, hat, scarf, gloves, all of it. Protecting your head and neck from the cold is crucial to minimize that blood pressure spike. And strategy number 12 is recognize the warning signs. This one is the ultimate lifesaver. It's the one that can make the difference between a full recovery and permanent disability. So please commit this to memory. Learn to recognize the early warning signs of a stroke. Often before a stroke happens, your body will send you signals. If you can recognize those signals and get to the hospital immediately, you gain precious time. Time that can save your brain and save your life. These signs include first, a sudden severe headache with no known cause or sudden dizziness or even fainting. Second, a sudden numbness or weakness, especially on one side of the body. It might affect your face, your arm, or your leg. A simple way to check is to try 3 things. Smile in the mirror. Does one side of your face droop? Raise both arms over your head. Does one arm drift back down? Say a simple sentence. Does your speech sound slurred or strange? If you notice any of these, be on high alert. Third, a sudden temporary loss of vision in one eye, or a sudden feeling that the room is spinning around you. If you or someone near you experiences any of these symptoms, do not wait. Do not say, oh, let's just rest for a while and see if it passes. Call emergency services immediately. When it comes to stroke, time is brain. Okay, my friends, those are the 12 fundamental foundational strategies for preventing stroke, but I promised you 2 secret weapons backed by scientific research that can make your prevention efforts even more powerful. So let's talk about those now. Secret weapon number 1 is make sure you're getting enough folate. Now, when most people hear the word folate or folic acid, their first thought is, oh, that's for pregnant women, right? And it's true, folate is absolutely essential during pregnancy. But today, I want to update that understanding for you. Getting enough folate is not just for pregnant women. It is critically important for older adults as well. This is one of the most effective research-backed strategies for stroke prevention. highlighted by top experts like Professor Huo Yang from Peking University First Hospital based on years of clinical research. So why is folate so important? It has to do with a substance in your body called homocysteine. You can think of homocysteine as a kind of metabolic garbage or rust that builds up in your bloodstream. When levels get too high, this homocysteine starts to damage the delicate inner lining of your arteries, making them more prone to hardening and to forming blockages. Folate's job is to act like a cleanup crew. It helps break down that homocysteine and clear it out of your system. Research data shows that a significant percentage of the population, somewhere between 20 and 60%, actually has low levels of folate. And here's the scary part. If someone has high blood pressure and they also have low folate, their risk of having a stroke is dramatically higher. We're talking about 12 times higher than normal. That is a staggering number, and getting enough folate doesn't just protect against stroke, it has other benefits too. It may help protect against cognitive decline and dementia by reducing damage to brain blood vessels and nerve cells, and some research suggests it can even help with sleep and memory. So how do you get enough folate? It's actually pretty simple. It's found in many common foods. Think dark green leafy vegetables like spinach, asparagus, and broccoli. Think fresh fruits like oranges, strawberries, and other citrus. Think beans like lentils and soybeans. And yes, it's also in liver. If you eat it, a diet rich in these foods is a great start. Secret weapon number 2 is eat 1 egg every day. This is probably the simplest, cheapest, and most misunderstood stroke prevention tool out there. I know exactly what some of you are thinking, but doctor, eggs are full of cholesterol. Won't eating eggs clog my arteries and cause a stroke? This is another one of those ideas that we now understand is outdated. In the past, that concern was common. But today, a huge body of modern scientific research has shown that the cholesterol you eat in food has a much smaller impact on the cholesterol levels in your blood than we used to think. The real dietary villains for blood cholesterol are saturated fats and trans fats, not the cholesterol found naturally in foods like eggs. A major research institution in the United States analyzed data from a massive study that followed people for over 30 years from 1982 to 2015. And what did they find? They found that people who ate about 1 egg per day had, on average, a 12% lower risk of stroke. 12%. Why would an egg help prevent stroke? One really important reason is that eggs are packed with valuable nutrients, and one of those nutrients is exactly what we just talked about, folate. Every 100 grams of egg contains a good amount of folate, about 121 micrograms, and most of that is in the yolk. Plus, the yolk is rich in something called lecithin and other compounds that are fantastic for protecting your blood vessels and nourishing your brain. So please, stop throwing away the yolk for the vast majority of older adults unless your doctor has given you specific instructions. Otherwise, eating 1 whole egg a day, preferably cooked in a healthy way like boiled or poached, is absolutely beneficial, far more good than harm. So, my friends, what we've talked about today covers just about everything you need to know to keep stroke out of your life. Stroke is a terrifying disease. It has a high chance of happening, a high chance of coming back, a high chance of killing you, and a high chance of leaving you with severe disabilities. That is the reality. But if you take these messages to heart, if you really remember them, and if you start putting them into practice starting today, you have more than enough power to beat it. You are not helpless against this. So let's do a quick recap of everything we covered because I want to make sure it sticks. First, remember the 12 lifestyle strategies. 1, stabilize your blood pressure. This is the core. Take your medications regularly and never stop on your own. 2, manage your emotions, learn to let things go, and keep a positive outlook. Your peace of mind matters. 3, quit smoking and limit alcohol. Stop putting your arteries through unnecessary stress. 4, choose your food wisely. Follow the 3 lows: low saturated fat, low sodium, low added sugar. Load up on whole foods. 5, avoid exhaustion. Work and chores can wait. Rest is not optional. 6, prevent constipation. Eat your fiber and keep things moving smoothly to avoid dangerous straining. 7, change your bathroom habits. Use a sitting toilet and a footstool if needed. It's safer. 8, prevent falls at home. Clear clutter, use mats and night lights, protect yourself from that jarring impact. 9, use your left hand more, give your right brain a daily workout. 10, drink plenty of water, aim for those 1.5 to 2 liters with a special focus on morning and evening. 11, protect yourself from the cold. Dress warmly and get gentle sun exposure when you can. And 12, know the warning signs. If you see face drooping, arm weakness, or speech problems, call for help immediately. Second, remember the 2 secret weapons for stroke prevention. 1, get enough folate. It's the cleanup crew for your arteries. Eat your greens. beans and citrus, and 2, eat 1 egg a day. The yolk is where the brain protecting nutrients are. A daily egg is a simple, powerful choice. And finally, 3 important things to keep in mind. Number 1, don't fall for expensive supplements. No pill, no matter how costly, can replace these fundamental, free, healthy lifestyle habits. Number 2, remember that stability is more important than just being low blood pressure. That swings wildly up and down is incredibly damaging. Focus on keeping it steady. And number 3, when it comes to stroke, time is everything. If you even suspect a stroke, do not wait. Call emergency services immediately. Every second counts. My friends, health is not a lottery. It's not just about the genes you were born with. It's about the choices you make every single day. Starting today, even if it's just choosing to drink 1 extra glass of water, or adding an extra vegetable to your dinner, or taking 5 minutes to really relax, you are adding to your health. You are building that fortress. If you found today's video helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more evidence-based health information, and share this video with your friends and family. Let's all work together to stay healthy and enjoy our later years with vitality and independence. I'll see you in the next video. If you're dealing with any health concerns, please schedule a visit with your primary care doctor. I'm here to help you understand the science, not replace professional medical advice. This content is for educational purposes only.